Welcome, race fans. What an unbelievable weekend of sprint car racing we just witnessed. From coast to coast, it was an absolute blitz of speed and history. We saw a teenager put on a legendary performance to win one of the sport's biggest crown jewels, while on the very same night, a veteran cemented his legacy as an all time great, becoming the winningest driver in USAC history. We're going to break down the incredible moments from one of the most packed weekends of the year. I'm Russ Fritz, and joined by Nathan Johns once again to cover all of our NASCAR drama that we had this weekend, which wasn't very much. And we're telling you to strap in tight because this isn't just racing, this is switching grooves.
I got no volume.
That any better?
There we go.
Oh, I don't know. I
Now
didn't
you
do
lost
anything.
me.
I don't know. I didn't do anything. And I
I'm
must have
here.
started.
I just can't see it.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
So I let you grab some grub while I'm doing my thing and
All right. I'll be back, guys.
yeah, Nathan's been really busy here this week, so from all kinds of stuff. But I'll get on with my spiel. I must have just started talking too early or something. But no big deal. Well, it was a weekend for the ages. In the sprawling, high octane world of American sprint car racing, certain weekends transcend the typical rhythm of the season to become indelible markers, excuse me, and makers of history. The period spanning from Thursday, September 4th to Sunday, September 7th, was actually unequivocally one such moment. It was a rare and spectacular convergence, a perfect storm of speed and significance where the sport's five premier national regional tours simultaneously contested legacy defining events across the entire continental United States. While fans were treated to an unprecedented buffet of high stakes racing, the weekend ultimately etched itself into the annals of the sport through the crowning of new legends, the confirmation of generational talents, and the gritty redemption of seasoned veterans. From the hallowed grounds of Port Royal Speedway in Pennsylvania, where a 19-year-old phenom delivered a performance of historic dominance at the Tuscarora 50, to the heartland of Missouri, where a modern day hero broke a sacred, long standing record to claim his throne as the winningest driver in USAC history. The storylines were monumental. Far to the southwest, the World of Outlaws thundered into the New Mexico desert, tightening a ferocious championship battle while offering a sobering reminder of the sport's inherent risks. Across the plains of Kansas and Nebraska, the ASCS National Tour subjected its drivers to a grueling four-race gauntlet that tested their mettle and produced a career-first victory. And in the background, the All-Star Circuit of Champions carved its own narrative through New York and Pennsylvania, setting the stage for its own blockbuster championship finale. This was more than just a collection of races. It was a snapshot of the sport at its zenith, a weekend where a clash of rising stars and established titans played out on multiple stages. When the final checkered flag flew and the haulers rolled out into the night, the dust settled on a landscape forever altered. The events of this weekend did not just provide results, they offered a profound commentary on the current state and future trajectory of sprint car racing, posing a compelling question. What did this historic convergence reveal about the heroes of today and the legends of tomorrow? For the Tuscarora 50, well, a teenager ascends at the Palace of Speed. For 3 nights, the Juanita County Fairgrounds and the famed half-mile Port Royal Speedway became the epicenter of sprint car universe, or the sprint car universe. The 58th annual Tuscarora 50, sanctioned by Kubota High Limit Racing, brought together the nation's best high rollers, the fiercely proud PA posse, and a host of invaders, all vying for one of the sport's most prestigious titles and a staggering $58,000 prize. The weekend unfolded as a dramatic 3-act play, culminating in a finale that was not merely a victory, but a coronation. The prelude, well, it was home cooking for the Concrete King. The opening act of the Tusky actually belonged to a local hero. After 14 unsuccessful attempts to capture a high limit racing victory, Dillsburg, Pennsylvania's Anthony Macri, known affectionately now as the Concrete King, finally broke through in spectacular fashion on his home turf. Starting from the outside of the front row, Macri seized the lead at the drop of the green flag and delivered a masterful, powerful, dominant performance. He controlled all 25 laps of the preliminary feature, surviving a single restart and stretching his advantage to a massive 4.184 seconds by the checkered flag, the third largest margin of victory in series history at the time. The $10,000 triumph was Macri's 13th overall win of the 2025 season, and more significantly, his 30th career victory at the Speed Palace, a mark that ranks 13th all time at the historic facility. The win guaranteed him a starting spot in Saturday's lucrative finale, providing a crucial advantage for the 2022 Tuscarora 50 champion. Following Macri to the line was actually Justin Woodall of Vincenttown, New Jersey, who matched his career best high limit finish in second while solidifying his lead in the Port Royal Speedway Track Championship standings. The final podium spot was claimed by 19-year-old Texan Brenham Crouch, who enjoyed a standout night in the CJB Motorsports number 5, earning the pole position and holding on for a career best third place result. And the prelude, well, that was Friday, and it was a resilient return of the boot from the clue. And if Thursday wasn't actually about hometown dominance, Friday was. It was a narrative of pure grit and resilience. Aaron Reitzel, the boot from the clue, authored an incredible comeback story the night before the 50. Still actually recovering from a significant foot injury he actually sustained during the King's Royal at Eldora, Reitzel actually triumphed in only his second race back behind the wheel. Early in the 25-lap feature, Parker Price Miller set the pace, but Reitzel, who started on the pole, was relentless. He stalked the leader before making his move on lap 9, taking the lead, and he would not relinquish. Despite a determined charge from Thursday's winner Anthony Macri, Reitzel actually held on strong, securing a poignant victory that underscored his toughness and talent. The win was remarkably his second consecutive victory in the Friday night Tuscarora 50 preliminary event, having also won it 1 year prior. Macri settled for a strong runner-up finish, while Brett Marks charged from his sixth starting position to complete the podium. The night's hard charger was high limit championship contender Rico Abreu, who carved his way from 18th to a 7th place finish, salvaging a valuable points lead. And comes Saturday. Ryan Timms actually delivers a beatdown. It was wow. The stage was set for a memorable 50-lap finale, but no one could have predicted the sheer, unadulterated dominance that was about to be unleashed by a 19-year-old from Oklahoma City. Ryan Timms, who had already enjoyed a career-defining month, delivered a performance in the 58th Tuscarora 50 that cemented his arrival as a generational talent. Justin Peck started from the pole and controlled the first half of the race, leading the opening 25 laps. Meanwhile, Timms, who actually started in 8th in the Shane Liebig number 10, was methodically picking his way through the field. By lap 17, he climbed to 3rd and joined an intense three-way battle for the lead with Peck, PPM, and it was a thrilling, just amazing battle in front of a packed grandstands before the mandatory open red flag at the halfway point. And what happened next was breathtaking. Um, on the ensuing restart to begin lap 26, Timms executed a flawless move to whip past Peck for the lead. From that moment on, the race was over. Timms simply checked out from the rest of the field, driving away into a class of his own. When he took the checker flag to claim the $58,000 prize, his margin of victory was an astounding 7.265 seconds, the largest in the history of Kubota high limit racing. The victory was far more than just a massive payday. It was a historic achievement. With the win, Timms joined the most exclusive of company, becoming only the 3rd driver in the long and storied history of the sport to win both the Knoxville Nationals and the Tuscarora 50 in the same season. The only other drivers to accomplish this monumental feat were legends Kenny Weld in 1973 and Doug Wolfgang in 1985. Peck, who led the first half of the race, was forced to settle for a frustrating yet respectable second place finish for the second straight week in a major event. The ever resilient Aaron Reisel capped his phenomenal weekend with a charge from 10th to finish 3rd, while Troy Wagaman Jr. earned the Rod End Supply Hard Charger Award for a spectacular drive from 21st to 5th. And I'll just get to some key insights and analysis. It was a championship shockwave and a generational arrival. The Tuscarora 50 was actually not an isolated event. Its outcome sent shockwaves through the high limit racing championship chase. Rico Abreu, who entered the weekend with significant momentum after a clean sweep at the Skagit Nationals, endured a difficult finale, finishing a distant 15th. This provided a massive opening for Aaron Reitzel. His brilliant 3rd place finish from the 10th starting position was not just a podium, it was a championship altering result. The point swing was significant enough to produce the 8th lead change of the 2025 season, with Reitzel vaulting over Abreu to take a 21-point advantage. Reitzel's performance, winning on Friday and charging to the podium on Saturday, just days after returning from an injury, demonstrated a champion's resolve, allowing him to capitalize on a single off night for his rival and completely reset the championship narrative heading into the final stretch of the season. And beyond the points battle, the weekend will be remembered as the definitive arrival of Ryan Timms. His victory was not a fluke, but rather an exclamation point on one of the most remarkable months by a young driver in modern history. In the span of just a few weeks, Timms had won his first Knoxville Nationals, his first World of Outlaws race, the USAC Speedway track champion, and now his first Tuscarora 50. This is not the trajectory of a rising star. It is the established pattern of an elite powerhouse. By joining Weld and Wolfgang in the record books, Timms elevated this season from a merely great to historical significant. The sheer dominance of his victory by a record setting margin at one of the sport's toughest racetracks against its best drivers was a clear and undeniable declaration that a new force has arrived at the pinnacle of sprint car racing. And we just made history in the heartland. Justin Grant actually becomes USAC's all-time king. While wing sprint car racing captivated Pennsylvania, the non-wing world turned its attention to a Midwest doubleheader for the USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Car Championship. The weekend actually began with a story of redemption in Illinois and concluded with a monumental, record-shattering night in Missouri that rewrote the history books of one of America's most revered racing sanctions. It was redemption in Granite City as Danner actually delivers at Tri-City. The weekend kicked off at Tri-City with Tri-City Speedway in Granite City, Illinois, for the series' first visit in 6 years. The night belonged to Briggs Danner, who found sweet redemption just 13 days after a devastating crash on the final lap of Sprint Car SmackDown at Kokomo Speedway in Indiana that cost him a potential victory. The 30-lap feature actually saw early battles for the lead between front row starters Chase Stockton and Kyle Cummins, with Stockton leading the first 3 laps before Cummins took command on lap 4. But Danner, who started fourth in his Hogue Racing Enterprises machine, was on a mission. He methodically tracked down the leaders, executing the race-winning pass on Cummins on the 14th lap. From there, Danner masterfully controlled the remainder of the race and crossed the finish line 0.562 seconds ahead of the field for his third victory of the season and the sixth of his USAC National Sprint Car career. Points leader Kyle Cummins continued on an incredible streak of consistency, finishing as runner-up for the fourth consecutive race. Chase Stockton held on for a solid third-place finish, while Justin Grant, racing with a broken left foot, turned in a gutsy performance to finish fourth. The 63rd victory, though, well, it was a new chapter in the record books. Saturday night at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri was not just another race, it was a date with destiny. In USAC's first appearance at the state-of-the-art facility in 19 years, Justin Grant of Lone, California achieved a milestone that actually solidified his place among the immortals of the sport. He became the winningest driver in the 69 year of the USAC National Sprint Car Championship. Starting fourth, he actually started fourth in the rod end supply diamond dirt duel. Grant was immediately on the move, charging into the second position on the opening lap. He then set his sights on leader Wesley Smith, stalking him for several laps before making the decisive move, actually on the inside of turn 4 to take the lead as they completed lap 8. For the remainder of the 30-lap contest, though, Grant had to fend off relentless challenges from determined Jake Swanson, but the veteran driver was flawless and held on for the historic victory. The win was actually Grant's 63rd in USAC National Sprint Car competition, officially surpassing the legendary Dave Darland, whose record of 62 wins had stood as the benchmark for years. In an emotional victory lane, Grant reflected on the significance of passing a driver he had battled and revered throughout his career. The triumph also actually marked his 100th career feature win across all USAC National Regional divisions, making him only the 8th driver to reach the century mark, joining a pantheon that includes names like AJ Foyt, Rich Vogler, and Brian Clausen. It was a night where multiple records fell, and earlier in the evening, Logan Seavey shattered a 19-year-old track record held by Brady Bacon, posting a qualifying lap of 14.928 seconds. Later, rookie Gunnar Setzer established a new 8-lap heat race track record with a time of 2 minutes and 4 seconds. That's astounding. But the key insights and analysis of this, well, a legacy was cemented in a series health on display. Justin Grant's victory at Lucas Oil Speedway was actually a career-defining moment that transcends a single race report. By surpassing Dave Darland, Grant moved from the category of a modern-day champion into the rarefied air of an all-time great. The USAC National Sprint Car wins record in a series steeped in nearly 7 decades of history is one of the sport's most hallowed marks. Achieving this milestone, along with becoming just the 8th driver to accumulate 100 total NASCAR, 100 total USAC victories, firmly places Grant in the conversation for the greatest non-wing sprint car drivers in history. It is a recontextualization of his entire career, cementing a legacy that will be celebrated for generations. And while Grant's historic achievement was the weekend's headline, the on-track action across both nights served as a powerful testament to the competitive health and depth of USAC National Series. Briggs Danner's victory on Friday, Kyle Cummins' remarkable consistency with 4 straight second-place finishes, and a career-best third-place run for Topeka, Kansas's Wyatt Burks on Saturday demonstrated that the series is far from a one-man show. The fact that multiple track records were erased by different drivers further illustrates the high level of competition throughout the entire field. While a legend was cementing his place atop the record books, a vibrant and diverse cast of veterans, rising stars like Danner, and hardworking journeymen like Burks actually proved that the future of USAC racing is bright and fiercely competitive. Over to the world of Outlaws. Well, the Outlaws actually started their desert showdown, and as High Limit and USAC actually commanded the spotlight in the East and Midwest, the world of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars headed to the Southwest for the Desert Showdown, a crucial two-night event at Vado Speedway Park in Vado, New Mexico. The weekend actually promised to be a pivotal battleground for the trio of drivers, David Gravel, Buddy Kofoid, and Carson Macedo, who had dominated or who have dominated the 2025 season. The opening night of the Desert Showdown was a dramatic affair marked by a frightening opening lap incident and a crucial victory for the series point leader. The 30-lap main event was immediately brought to a halt when a multi-car incident saw both Alex Pettis and Connor Morrell flip violently. While Pettis was able to climb from his car, the race was red flagged as safety crews attended to Morrell. The series later reported that Morrell was alert and communicating as he was extracted from the car before being transported for further evaluation, casting a somber mood over the entire event. When racing resumed, Logan Schuchart took the lead from the pole, with Kerry Madsen and David Gravel giving chase. Madsen eventually wrestled the lead away on lap 13, but Gravel was on the move. He dispatched Schuchart for a second and then began to hunt down Madsen, making the winning pass on the inside on lap 23. Once in the front, Gravel pulled away to secure the victory, a vital result in his quest for a second consecutive series championship. Schuchart recovered to finish second, with Madsen rounding out the podium in third. Carson Macedo, who was the fastest qualifier on the night, finished seventh. The finale was actually washed out by weather, with thunderstorms bringing heavy rains fall to Vado Speedway Park. The Outlaws decided to cancel after the track and series officials did what they could to try to work the track in and run it in. It was just too much. So unfortunately, that kind of killed that. So it kind of sucked. But David Gravel's victory on Friday was a continuation of one of the season's most compelling storylines, the utter dominance of the championship's top three contenders. Pre-race analysis indicated that Gravel, Carson Macedo, and Buddy Kofoid had collectively won a staggering 90% of the last 10 series events heading into the Vado weekend. Gravel's win was not an upset, but rather a reaffirmation of this reality. It was another blow landed in a heavyweight title fight, where each victory and every point gained carries immense weight. The win further solidified Gravel's position atop the standings and applied pressure on his two main rivals to respond. However, the most lasting impression from the weekend at Vado was the stark reminder of the sport's inherent danger. The violent opening lap crash involving Connor Morrell served as a sobering counterpoint to the weekend's celebrations of historic achievement and on-track heroics. The incident underscored the immense risks these athletes actually undertake every time they strap into their 900 horsepower machines. While the focus of any race report is rightly on competition and results, the morale crash forces a moment of reflection on the bravery and the vulnerability of each driver, adding a layer of gravity to the entire weekend's narrative. And the ASCS National Tour's grueling three-state swing, um, wow, it was something to talk about. For the drivers and teams of the American Sprint Car Series National Tour, the weekend was an exercise in endurance and versatility. A demanding schedule saw them contest four feature events in just over 48 hours at three different tracks across Kansas and Nebraska. The grueling gauntlet actually produced three different winners and provided one of the most memorable breakthrough victories of the entire season. Kansas City doubleheader on Friday, September 5th, Covington and Hans split Lakeside honors. The marathon weekend kicked off at Lakeside Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, with a unique doubleheader that included a makeup feature alongside a regularly scheduled program. The two main events saw a pair of Oklahoma natives split the honors. In the first regularly scheduled feature, Glenpool, Oklahoma's Matt Covington scored his second victory of the season. After winning the dash to earn the pole position, Covington actually expertly worked the bottom groove of of the racetrack, leading all 25 laps. His victory was hard earned as he had to fend off relentless high side charges from five-time series champion Sam Hafertepe Jr. In the closing laps, ultimately holding on by a slim margin, he pulled off the win by a 0.307-second margin. Not very much. Blake Hahn came home in third to round out podium. And later in the evening, the makeup feature was contested, and this time it was Blake Hahn who found his way to victory lane, besting Covington in a thrilling duel between the two Sooner State drivers. Oh, man, it was pretty cool to watch. It was fun. But the champion actually responds, and Hafertape reasserts dominance at 81 Speedway. After a pair of podium finishes but no victory at Lakeside, Sam Hafertepe Jr. reasserted his authority on the series Saturday night at 81 Speedway in Park City, Kansas. The Sunnyvale, Texas native actually put on a clinical performance, charging from his sixth starting position to take the lead from Cameron Martin on lap 13 of the 25-lap event. Once out front, Hafertepe was untouched, driving away and actually claiming his series-leading 10th victory of the season and the 87th of his illustrious ASCS National Tour career. Cameron Martin, who had led the early portion of the race, held on for an impressive second-place finish, while Blake Hahn continued his strong weekend with a third-place finish and his third podium in as many races. A star was born out in Nebraska, where, with Cameron Martin's first national victory. The grueling weekend concluded at the high banks of Eagle Raceway in Nebraska with the running of the Stewart Alley Memorial. It produced a feel-good story for the tour. 21-year-old Cameron Martin from Ankeny, Iowa, who had shown tremendous speed all weekend, put it all together to score his first ever ASCS National Tour victory in a memorable 35-lap feature. The race evolved into a fantastic duel between the young upstart Martin and the seasoned champion Heffertape. After an early battle, though, Heffertape managed to slide past Martin for the lead on lap 17. But unlike the previous night, Martin refused to let the champion get away. He regrouped, pinned his right rear tire to the treacherous Eagle Raceway cushion, and charged back, executing a thrilling outside pass to retake the lead on lap 20. Martin then had to withstand immense pressure and survive two late race restarts to seal the emotional and hard fought milestone victory. Hafertepe had to settle for second, capping a weekend that saw him finish second, first, and second in three of the four features. J.J. Hickle finished third, while Matt Covington earned hard charger honors with an incredible drive from 25th to 7th. The FCS's demanding 3-day, 4-race swing provided a fascinating contrast to the top-heavy dynamic scene in other national series. The emergence of three different winners, Covington, Hahn, and Martin, and in addition to the continued excellence of champion Sam Hafertepe Jr., showcased the competitive depth and parity within the series. Surviving, let alone succeeding, across this gauntlet required immense resilience from both drivers and crews, and the varied list of victors proves that a wider array of teams are capable of winning on any given night. The most compelling narrative to emerge was the rapid, real-time development of Cameron Martin. His breakthrough victory at Eagle was not a stroke of luck, but a direct consequence of the lesson he learned just 24 hours earlier. At 81 Speedway, Martin led early, but was passed by Hafertepe and finished second. In his post-race interview at Eagle, Martin explicitly stated that he felt he had not run hard enough on Saturday and wasn't going to let that happen again. This mental adjustment was visibly apparent in his driving on Sunday, and when Heffertape took the lead, Martin didn't settle. He immediately went on the attack and took it back. His victory was a perfect case study in a young driver's growth, demonstrating the ability to process a defeat, learning a critical lesson from a champion, and immediately applying that knowledge to achieve a career-defining win. Over to the All-Stars. They battled from New York to Pennsylvania. While four other series crisscrossed the country, the All Star Circuit of Champions added to the weekend's spectacular density with a 2 night swing through New York and Western Pennsylvania, showcasing its own brand of intense competition and setting the table for its championship finale. And Henry actually conquered the Freedom Fall Classic at Freedom Speedway, or Freedom Motorsports Park, I should say, where the All Stars kicked off their weekend at Freedom Motorsports Park in Delavan, New York. The night actually belonged to Sacramento, California's Caleb Henry, who drove to victory from the outside on the front row. Henry held off a hard charging Cale Thomas, who advanced 4 positions to finish second, and Pennsylvania veteran Tim Schaefer, who rounded out the podium in third. The win was a crucial one for Henry in his pursuit of the series championship. Spithaller's redemption, though, at the Western PA Championship came on Saturday, September 6th. So 1 night later, the series shifted to Michaels Mercer Raceway for the historic Western PA Sprint Car Championship. The evening produced a story of redemption for Butler, Pennsylvania's Brandon Spithaler. After a hard crash the previous night at Freedom, Spithaler bounced back in dramatic fashion. He methodically worked his way forward, taking the lead from Greg Wilson on lap 26 and driving to an emotional 5,000 to win victory. Wilson held on for second. Cale Thomas came home in third, recorded another strong finish. And all-star point leader Caleb Henry finished a solid fourth, with Leighton Wagner earning hard charger honors with an impressive drive from 20th to 5th. So the championship picture, though, actually solidifies. The weekend was actually, what do I want to call it? A microcosm of the All Star season, highlighting both the series regulars and the tough local competitors who actually rise to the challenge. Caleb Henry's victory on Friday, followed by a strong fourth place run on Saturday, demonstrated the consistency that has kept him atop the championship standings. Meanwhile, Brandon Spithaller's win at Mercer was a testament to the resilience required in sprint car racing, overcoming a wreck 1 night to stand in victory lane the next. As the tour heads into the finale, into its final weekend and finale this coming weekend, Henry has positioned himself as the clear favorite to win the championship. But the strong runs from challengers like Cale Thomas actually prove the title fight isn't over just yet. And it won't be over until the final checkered flag falls. But a look ahead, the finale for the All Stars comes this weekend at Fremont Speedway for the Jim Ford Classic. And as 2025 is winding down, the All Stars actually prepare for its grand finale at one of the most historic venues, in sprint car racing, and that's Ohio's Fremont Speedway. The 17th annual Jim Ford Classic at Fremont is set to be a blockbuster 2 night event, Friday, September 12th, and Saturday, September 13th, that will not only crown a victor, but also a series champion. The event honors the legacy of Jim Ford, a former driver and owner who resurrected the track that Action built in 2000, saving it from becoming a defunct and ushering in uh, a new era of success. And the weekend has actually become one of the region's most premier events, with Saturday's finale paying a handsome 10,000 to win to whoever can cross the line first. Past winners of the prestigious event actually include legends like Dale Blaney, Tim Schaefer, and modern stars like Christopher Bell, Aaron Reisel, and Zeb Wise. Adding to the prestige of the weekend, Saturday will also feature the first ever All Star Circuit of Champions reunion, celebrating the history of America's oldest wing sprint car touring series at the track often called the home of the All Stars. For fans making the trip, well, yours truly and Switchin Grooves will actually be set up in the campground all weekend long, hosting live pre-race shows for everyone to come and watch. If you want to be part of it, I have a few drivers that have agreed to come and do some interviews, so find us in the campground. We'll be there. So, my synthesis and look forward. The weekend of September 4th through the 7th, 2025 will actually be remembered as a watershed moment for sprint car racing. It was a period that perfectly encapsulated the sport's dynamic future, showcasing its reverence for history, the arrival of its future, and the unrelenting intensity that defines it. The concurrent action across 5 national and regional tours provided a rich, multi-layered narrative that speaks to the incredible health and passion of the dirt track community. The weekend's enduring legacy lies in its powerful duality of greatness. On the very same Saturday night, the sport witnessed a veteran driver, Justin Grant, cement his place in the pantheon of legends by becoming the all-time wins leader in a series with 7 decades of history. Simultaneously, hundreds of miles away, a teenage driver, Ryan Timms, put on a historically dominant performance to win a crown jewel event, signaling his arrival as a generational talent poised to define the next era of the sport. This incredible contrast of a legacy fulfilled and a new one beginning actually captures the beautiful cyclical, nature of motorsports. Furthermore, the weekend provided a fascinating study in the anatomy of a champion. It highlighted the different paths to victory lane. Anthony Macri's sheer dominance on home turf, Aaron Reitzel's incredible grit in his comeback from an injury, and Brandon Spithaller's redemption after a wreck, David Gravel's calculated consistency, Sam Hafertape Jr.'s veteran suave, and Cameron Martin's ability to learn from his mistakes and achieve a breakthrough. Looking ahead, the unrelenting pressure of September has set the stage for a thrilling conclusion to the 2025 season. The High Limit Racing Championship battle has been completely reset, with Reitzel and Abreu now locked in a head-to-head duel that will next take them to Lernerville Speedway for the Commonwealth Clash. The World of Outlaws continue their western swing into California with events at Bakersfield and Paris Auto Speedway on the immediate horizon. The USAC National Sprint Cars head back to their Indiana heartland for the Ashley Albertson Memorial at Circle City and the prestigious Hobstadt Hustler at Tri-State Speedway. The ASCS National Tour will get a well-deserved weekend off before heading into the high banks at I-55 Federated Auto Parts Raceway. And finally, all eyes will actually be on the Midwest turn to Fremont Speedway, where the All-Star Circuit of Champions will crown its champion at the historic Jim Ford Classic. The echoes of this historic weekend will undoubtedly reverberate through these upcoming events as the storylines of coronation, legacy, and championship fever continue to unfold. So that's going to do it for my rant. Now I'm going to pass it over to Nathan. So, you actually
I'm here.
You must have actually left.
No, I went and got some food and I came back. I was here.
So, no. Now I hand it over to you, man.
Well, let's start off with the Xfinity race. Connor Zilisch wins another race. He has now won 4 in a row, and he is 3 races away from tying Kyle Busch's record for the single season wins at 12. He is 3 away. He's currently at 9. They counted Parker Kligerman's win at Daytona as a Zilisch win because Zilisch was in the car to start, and Parker Kligerman just finished the race. Sounds like Cars 3 style finish. But besides that, the remaining races on Connor Zilisch's schedule is he has to win the Food City 300 at Bristol this weekend, or the Kansas Lottery 300 at Kansas, or the Roval. That's the next 3 races because the playoffs start this week at Bristol. I would say Connor Zilisch has a really good shot at winning at the Roval. Bristol, I'm not so sure about. The last time the Xfinity Series was there, Kyle Larson obviously won, so there isn't a whole great way to judge that one. And Kansas, they have not raced at this year, so we're going to see how Connor Zilisch runs at Kansas. After that, if he wins one of those races, he has to win the next 4 to get his or next 3 to get to beat Kyle Busch, or if he wins 2 more races after that, he will tie Kyle Busch. We've obviously got the Las Vegas race with the Focus Help 302. You've got the United Rentals 250 at Talladega, and you get the Xfinity playoff cutoff at Martinsville before they go to the Championship 4 race at Phoenix. This kid is absolutely unstoppable, but right now these races are not exactly in his wheelhouse, and I really wonder, will he be able to tie Kyle Busch, or is he going to be able to beat Kyle? I don't think he'll get 3 wins, but I've been proven wrong so far. This kid is really good. But let's talk about the Gateway race this past weekend, other than Connor Zilich, because we all know he's good. During the race, we had Chase Elliott turning Josh Berry. I'm going to call that incidental contact. Obviously, in the end, it was incidental contact. But the replay showed Chase kind of washing up a little bit. They were 3 wide, and Berry got clipped and went for a ride. Ended up backing it into the wall. Basically ended his day, as the entire left front of the car was basically ripped off the car. It was not a good sight. Berry is currently 16 seed in the playoffs, going into basically a must-win situation at Bristol. I'm gonna say he'll probably be eliminated by Saturday, because I can't see him winning at Bristol, but you never know. And then we have the more controversial contact. Kyle Larson came from, we're going to call it Austin Dillon distance, and just cleaned out Blaney. Fortunately, Blaney didn't hit the wall. But that was one of those lapse in judgments that I'm shocked, didn't result in a NASCAR stepping in. But then again, it is, Kyle Larson. But he came from a long ways back and just kind of washed up the track and took out Blaney. After the race, Blaney did end up finishing 4th, so it didn't really hurt him at all, or did end his race. But after the race, there was a talk on pit road. Essentially Kyle just goofed up, but as Blaney said, he'll remember that, which I kind of hope, for Kyle Larson's part, he doesn't have to remember that, but we'll go with that. Denny Hamlin wins St. Louis. Decide he's going to get cocky in pit lane. You get on the bandwagon or you get run over by it. I hate to break it to him. These next few races, other than next week, don't really fit into his wheelhouse. So, I mean, we got Bristol this week. He has a chance there. But, I mean, looking ahead for for Denny Hamlin, we got Bristol. You got Loudon. He's had his flashes in the pan at Loudon, but I can't see that. Go to Kansas. 23-11 is actually better than Denny Hamlin at Kansas, which is kind of crazy to think about. Then we go into the Roval, where he just sucks. He's not a road course racer, and I won't even go any further with that. Then you got, Las Vegas, Talladega, and Martinsville. If he gets into the round of 8, great, but I can't see him making it past the round of 8, only because the way the tracks line up this year, I think they ran up the same way last year, he was eliminated. So I can't see him making the playoffs or making it to the Championship 4 again. Other than, Josh Berry being almost eliminated, on the verge of elimination. We also have controversy. We're going to call it the Trackhouse scandal. Post race at St. Louis, there's a video floating around of the 1 car of Ross Chastain and the 88 car of SVG, who are both in the playoffs, essentially just driving through the grass on the cool down lap as they come down the pit road. And it was brought up by Alex Bowman, who conveniently was eliminated last year due to being too light at the end of the Roval race. So it is. There's reason to believe that the 1 and the 88 were too light, and to avoid being disqualified, they were driving through the grass trying to pick up rocks and dirt and trying to get stuff on their tires. That way they didn't, they had those few extra pounds. NASCAR did issue a statement, not issue a statement, but Brad Moran did say that they are going to address it at Bristol, which conveniently, there's no grass at Bristol or really, anything to pick up on your tires other than the marbles. So, you know, I definitely think they're going to have to step in, but I think the teams have way more to lose than gain by doing silly stuff like that. So that is kind of a funny, loophole, which conveniently enough, Trackhouse has found an awful lot of those. So maybe NASCAR needs to tighten up their rule books, but that is kind of funny that they found so many of them. In other NASCAR news, we have NASCAR possibly, it's been rumored they're going to go to a different playoff format next year. This one kind of caught my attention. I don't know if Russ is still there, but I do want to know your thoughts on this. NASCAR
Yeah.
is possibly going to the playoff format of 3 races, and 4 races. So instead of having 4 rounds, they're going to have 3 rounds, 2 threes, and then a 4-race championship round. Which I'm looking at the NASCAR schedule right now for next year because conveniently it's already been released for next year.
On
Um,
that.
which I'm kind of curious how this is going to go when it comes to you know, if they actually do go with the 3, 3, and 4, it makes the championship round of Phoenix, Talladega, Martinsville, and Homestead. I'm kind of curious, and I'll we'll see what your thoughts are on this, Russ. But I don't know how I feel about a super speedway being in the championship round. Yes, it is surrounded by 3 other tracks, but you've got not Sonoma, Phoenix, which is kind of an oddball track. You've got another wild card of Talladega, which anybody could win that race. Martinsville, which is gloves come off, beat the brakes off each other style race, all to come down to Homestead again. I like the idea of 4 races. Those weren't the 4 I would have had in mind for a championship race. But I what are your thoughts on this, Russ? Because I'm kind of at a loss with that one.
I don't know. I'd really have to sit here and analyze it, and I haven't done that to be able to give you like a really good insight.
The best way I know how to put it
And
is with Phoenix the last few years, you've either got JGR, you've got Penske, or you got Hendrick. Those are the last 3 winners at Phoenix. Because I don't remember who won the race earlier this year. I think it was a JGR. I'm pretty sure it was Christopher Bell. Won earlier this year at Phoenix. I have to go back and look now. But I mean, you've got Phoenix, which is a big 3 team, or a big 3 track. What was Phoenix? Yes, Phoenix was Christopher Bell. So you've got a JGR team. You've got Hendrick has won there in the past, but mostly it's been JGR. But Penske lately has been winning because they've won the last 3 championships. So that one I can see going to one team. Talladega has been a Ford track, or lately it's been Toyota with Tyler Reddick winning, but we don't know what's going on with the NASCAR. So that one could be a toss up next year.
I did
But
see that NASCAR is going to hold on to the charters that are in question.
I did see that, and then I also
On,
heard that they were going that the judge denied their preliminary injunction. So essentially, the teams are racing as unchartered teams for the remainder of the year. Now, if the teams win the lawsuit at the end of the year, then it goes back to the way it is, I believe. But there's been rumors that Tyler Reddick is suing for breach of contract because he's now an unchartered driver. Or an unchartered driver. I feel like it's going to hurt front row way more than 2311, but definitely some spicy texts came out of that court one. And with NASCAR, I guess being in good faith and not selling the teams until after court is, or selling charters until after this case is done in December. Um, it's going to be interesting. But you got what?
It's all friggin'
Phoenix,
stupid.
Phoenix, Talladega, Martinsville, which is essentially it's going to be a Hendrick or JGR race. Penske lately has been really good in it, but at the same time they've been more worried about points than racing their way in. Could we see a different style championship format where you're just going for wins in the final four races, or are you just trying to point your way in? I think if they're going to do a 3-3-3 or 3-3-4, um, you know, that's going to make it really interesting. Because also think about it: if we have a 16 car field, that would make it to where we'd have to eliminate 4, and then essentially 7 in the final round, which is going to be kind of interesting if you ask me. Um, I think Eric Estep brought that up along with Matt from Breakheart. I am very curious on how they're going to do this field. If they're going to do, for the first round eliminated, for the next round eliminated, that still leaves you 8 drivers for 4 races. So it's definitely, I think I can't see them, going back to the full season stats or full season points, but I also can't see them, if they're going to run this playoff off points, and that means it eliminates the win and you're in, or so you'd think. I mean, if you're going to do a win and you're in for the final 4 races, that doesn't make any sense, because if you win one of the final, or if you win any of the 4 races, you can't, win the championship. It should just be points. So why change the points when you get to those final 4 races? So I don't know if it's going to be a win and you're in for the playoffs and then points the rest of the season, but that seems a bit complicated for NASCAR to try to do that one.
Yes.
But then again,
I
I've
don't
seen
see
them do
them.
crazier stuff.
I don't see them ever going back to season long championships. Yeah,
I
season long
can't
points
see it.
championships.
If they go to
Because
playoffs, the win and you're in, I can't see them doing that for the playoffs. Like, you get into the playoffs and win you're in, but you shouldn't be able to move on from a win in the playoffs. So that's why I'm skeptical of what they're actually going to do if that's the case. I mean, I believe this was reported by Jordan Bianchi originally, or he hinted at it, I should say, in the Door Bumper Clear podcast. So we'll see what happens.
I'm
But that one
sorry
will
if
be
it,
interesting.
I'm sorry if it pisses anyone off, but in my opinion, you shouldn't be able to win a championship on a fluke, like winning a race because of weather or everybody crashed out, like Stenhouse won the 500, and there was no way he was going to win that race. It's just ridiculous.
I'm kind of
And
curious to see how they're going to run this Final Four with that, or the Final Four races with that.
that'll be interesting.
I mean, I think it should be just 0 points. But then again, if you have a rain out, you kind of can't really do that, because then it knocks it into a 3 race or a 2 race, and then it's going to be all fluky. So I don't know how I feel about that one. I have
I
one more. Good.
partial to the season long points. I mean, if we need to change it a little bit, then we do.
Yeah,
I wasn't really too against the original Nextel chase for the cup.
I do like that style.
I'm okay with that because guys after 10th place are pretty much mathematically eliminated anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could do something like that again and I'd be all right with it, but you got to earn it. You can't just win it by, oh, okay, I won the championship, even though I was the shittiest car on the racetrack, but everybody else
Yeah.
crashed out.
I think it's going to be a consistency thing when it comes down to that playoffs for next year, but we'll wait and see what happens. Or if they even, go with that style. This is all, rumored so far, but if that is the case, which it seems to be gaining a lot of traction, but, you know, I'm very curious how they're going to rule this. Um, One more just fun fact news story for this week's episode is Haas factory team is going to Chevy for next season, which I do find that kind of interesting because in the Xfinity series, obviously you've got not Cole Custer, and you got not Cole Custer, Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer. Both of them at one point were in Chevys. Sam Mayer was in Junior Motorsports, and now he's in Fords. And then Sheldon Creed's been in four manufacturers in 4 years. So that'll be a definitely one to see if he's learned anything from the first time around. But another detail of this is the Sieg brothers racing are their motors are supplied by Haas factory. So does that mean that Sieg Racing now has to find somebody else to get their motors from, or are they going to go Chevy also, which essentially takes out the rest of the field? I mean, AM Racing, I'm pretty sure is Ford. I don't know who else is Ford in the field. That's a big team, but with Stewart or Haas factory going to Ford, could that be the end of Ford in the Xfinity series? I mean, unless I'm missing a team, there's no other Ford teams left other than Haas factory. So that'll be an interesting development to see what happens there. Um, for anybody who's going to Bristol this week, this is just kind of a fun fact at the end. Anybody going to Bristol this week, I will not be at the Lernerville race. I will be at Bristol. If you guys would like to meet up, come say hi. Um, you know, Please reach out to me directly. I will happily, try to arrange plans to come meet you guys. I am on my honeymoon, but we will be in the area at Bristol. If you'd like to come say hi, please, reach out to me. I saw a report that Eric is going to be there, so I may try to go find him so I can get him, on the show possibly at some point, which would be an interesting crossover. Not likely, but worth a try. Um,
Show his credentials, so he'll probably be in the infield.
well, from what I understand, he is going to be at the Tennessee Relief Tent, or I have no idea where that is, but I saw it. There is going to be. He's announced on his episode that he's going to be at the race at the Tennessee Relief Tent of some sort. I personally would like to find him to come say hi. So, Eric, if you're watching our episode, I will. I would love to come meet you, and if you'd be able to come on the show sometime, we'd love to do a crossover of switching grooves and out of the groove with you. We'd love to have you on sometime. But yeah, if there's any viewers out there who would like to come out and say hi, please reach out to me directly, Nathan Johns on Facebook and social media and
You
whatnot.
know it. You know what's funny is uh, my original co-host and I were looking at potential names for the show before we started it, and he suggested outside groove or the outer groove, or
Yeah,
and one reason I turned that down is because of Eric's show title,
yeah.
Out of the Groove. So that's kind of interesting.
I mean, if
But
if
just
Eric,
a
if you're
fun
watching
fact.
this, please reach out because we would
Uh,
love to have you on the show sometime. And I obviously, I watch a lot of your episodes, and I would love to be able to come say hi and tell you you're doing a good job, which I did there. But still,
all right. So to get into a discussion with you about something on the dirt side
oh boy,
that was announced already. I made an announcement about it on one of my previous shows. I believe it was last week. But the news is actually official that Sheldon Haudenschild will actually be leaving Stenhouse Junior Marshall Racing at the end of the year. And that's actually a pretty big shakeup for the sprint car world. And I wouldn't put it on the same level as Donnie Schatz and TSR because that was actually seismic, but it's actually a significant move, more significant move, let's say, than Spencer Bayston leaving the 14 car.
Yeah.
And this actually marks the end of an 8-year run, and that's actually a very long time for any driver and team in the sport. So, I mean, when you look back, it feels like a partnership just hit its ceiling, and
Are you
there's
trying
no
to say we've
question.
hit our ceiling?
No, 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 no. There's no question that when Sheldon is on, banging up on the cushion, he's uh he's a force to be reckoned with.
Yes.
He's one of the most exciting drivers out there. The problem is they could never quite string a full consistent championship season together.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about any of that?
I never really
Do you
paid
like his decision or
from the stats that I've seen, and I haven't really paid attention to a lot of sprint car racing, but I do know, there a little bit of his history. Um, I'm gonna be really honest. You know, if he's on it one night but can't string it together, I feel like that's more of a team thing. So if it was his decision to leave, then I can get on board with that. If he
well,
thinks that he can do better, or there was just mutual, you know, you know, level or performance differences where he thought he could do this and he just wasn't able to do it with this team, then that go get him attitude of going to find a team that can give you that performance advantage, I can agree with that. But at the same time, you know he hasn't really been able to string anything together. That could be performance wise, that could be mechanics wise, not mechanics, but how the car is handling and whatnot. It could be anything. So I was kind of surprised with the Donnie Schatz one because that's one I've known of for a long time. With Sheldon Hodgson, I really don't know well enough to give you an accurate answer on if I think it's you know a good decision or if he can just do better elsewhere.
so his best ever points finish was fourth, and that actually came back in the shortened because of COVID 2020 season. He he racked up 44 World of Outlaws wins, but the performance was always a bit of a roller coaster. He actually could have
And it's been everywhere since. Like that was his highest, but with 2021 was gradually worse, and 2022 was gradually worse in 2021. Then I could see that as a reason to leave, but you know I'm not sure how to put this because Chase Elliott, it was the same situation. His championship in 2020 has an asterisk next to it because most of the races didn't get run. It was kind of an oddball year. Most things that year have an asterisk next to them because that was the year of COVID, and most of the seasons were just canceled or postponed or just not completed. So if that's the highest he's ever had, I can't. That's kind of a. I'm trying to think of a good word to use. It's not a great data point to use. It's kind of one of those, off the wall data points. If he's consistently, top 10 in points and it starts to drop off, then yeah, I could say that was, that's reason to leave. But if you can't have a consistent thing, I think that's more of a driver than a team issue. But what are your thoughts on that?
you could rack up a 9 race win monster season, but then just follow it up with a real quiet year. And that's what we've seen the last 2 to 3 seasons out of this team. And
Yeah.
I don't think that's what Sheldon is wanting.
I mean, it
You
sounds
know,
like a continuous sophomore slump. Like
and it
you
kind
have
of sucks.
breakout years, and then you have the crappy one the very next year.
But the thing is, uh, uh, when it comes to all those wins, he's never actually managed to capture any of the big crown jewel events. You know, the Nationals, the Kings Royal, or the National Open. And he
Yeah,
got close a few times, but never really sealed the deal.
and
You know,
that's another thing.
his biggest victory was actually at the High Bank Nationals. It's $100,000 win, and it was huge. But the other three are the ones that define your career, and he just hasn't been able to capitalize on any of those.
Yeah,
So I think this has played a big factor in his decision. So the question, though, I think is on everybody's mind is where is he going to go next? Well, from statements that him and his crew chief have released, Kyle Ripper, they actually come as a package deal, and that's literally we've seen that with a lot of drivers, especially in NASCAR. But that's actually a crucial piece of the puzzle. Uh, the rumor right now seems to be that the KCP Racing number 18, geographically, that makes a lot of sense because Ripper actually lives near Knoxville, and that's where the team is based. They've had Axum in the car, but it hasn't quite been the breakout performance they may have been expecting. And that is not a deal that was set in stone for next year. That was just for the remainder of this year. And also, the elephant in the room, and I said this on the show, is the Tony Stewart Racing number 15. It's actually the biggest open seat out there on the market if you think about it. And TSR has actually seemed to have some struggles on the crew chief side. So bringing an established duo, which is top tier like Howden Shield and Ripper, would actually instantly resolve that problem and give them a proven winner. So
that does
there's a
make
scenario
sense.
there. I have been told by one of my inside sources that there is a deal done and in place, but it is not being released yet. So there is something in the works or supposedly done, but they haven't announced that yet. And I don't think they will announce that until the end of the year. You know, to take that way it doesn't put any pressure on anybody, you know, blah 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 blah. Let them finish out their year quietly and then they'll announce it and go from there. I don't know, but you know,
Yeah,
like I said, I've been told, and rumors have it through other podcasters that there is a deal in place. So we'll see what's coming. Me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing him go to one of those two. You know, the 18 or the 15. They're both top tier teams with top tier equipment. So, and in my opinion, where Donnie Schatz kind of maybe stepped on his own toes was when he told Tony Stewart that he didn't like Ricky Warner. And look what Ricky Warner's doing with Rico Abreu.
yeah,
So that was a bad decision in my opinion, but you know, it was the decision that they made, and unfortunately, we end up where we are.
yeah,
But Sheldon has always actually seemed like a loyal War of Outlaws guy, but there are murmurs for KCP that might be looking at them going high limit next year. And who the hell knows what Tony Stewart's plans are for next year, given his complicated history with the Outlaws. You know, that could actually be a sticking point in any deal.
yeah.
So,
I mean, I did see
who knows?
Tony drifting around the World 100 on a quad, which was kind of entertaining.
But
But
it's actually not all about just where Sheldon goes. Another question is what happens to the 17 car? So do they bring someone like Donnie Schatz in? Like, so these guys basically swap rides, or does Gio Stelzy go to that car? And Sheldon swap rides with him, and there's all kinds of rumors swirling around that the team might actually even merge with another team, possibly changing its name and their number completely. So I'm sure their phones are already ringing off the hook from drivers. But the silly season is just getting started, man. So when you think about it, though, you still have the futures of guys like Donnie Schatz, Gio Stelzy, Spencer Baston, and those are actually unsettled yet. And the dominoes are still going to continue to fall. And Sheldon's move is actually just the next big piece of the puzzle to find its place. So I don't know, man. It's going to be exciting,
oh
especially
yeah,
for silly season this year when it comes to NASCAR and when it comes to sprint car racing.
I'm definitely curious to see how it's going to go with NASCARs because obviously Daniel Suarez is on the hot seat. He's already been announced he's not returning. They already announced that Connor Zilic will be joining Trackhouse full time, so that replaces Suarez. Suarez really doesn't want to go down to the Xfinity Series, or O'Reilly Series next year. Which,
Yeah.
to be honest, I really don't blame him. I mean, he can, in the right equipment, he can go out there and wax the field in the Xfinity. I mean, he's a good enough driver that he can go out there and just annihilate them. But at the same time, Trackhouse is kind of that middle ground of you're not an elite team, but you're not, you know, Rick Ware Racing. So there isn't a whole lot of seats right now. Mostly all the seat changing and silly season madness is going to be next year. I really cannot see a whole lot of seats opening up unless, Suarez goes to Spire and they boot Haley down to the O'Reilly series. There isn't a whole lot of options for next year. I mean, for all we know, say this lawsuit does go to court and, 2311 or lose their charters. NASCAR has those charters. They can delegate them to different teams. So at that point, seats open up.
That's
But
that's what I'm talking
realistically, there's
about.
nothing.
That's what I'm talking about for NASCAR silly season.
Yeah.
What is going to make it exciting is what happens with this
I
entire
mean,
lawsuit, and
I'm so
if
sick and tired of this lawsuit that I kind of just wish everybody associated with it would just lose their charters. That would include Denny Hamlin.
I just wish they'd do away with it altogether. The whole charter system is ridiculous.
I mean, it is a little pathetic at this point. But when we find out what goes on with this, it's December 1st is supposedly when we're going to find out this. So it's either going to be a Christmas miracle or Christmas heartbreak for somebody. So I'm kind of just waiting along for the ride. It is getting a little old hearing about it every single week, but I'm you could hear how tired I am of dealing with it. I'm almost yawning just talking about it. It drives me nuts. But I really wish there was a good answer for silly season when it comes to Suarez. Unless he goes to Spire, it's all going to depend on how this lawsuit goes. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the lawsuit that it's just, you don't even think about it anymore. You just want the season to be over with, start next year. I mean, I'm excited for the San Diego race. I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to go. I know that as part of this is kind of personal, with our trip, we are going to be checking off at least 8 tracks that me and my wife have never been to before. So I'm very excited to check off those 8 races. So next year, all I have to do is hit New Hampshire. So if anybody's got New Hampshire tickets, let me know. I'll come with you.
I'm still not used to hearing you say that.
I know. Trust me, it gets me every time. But, if anybody has New Hampshire tickets for next year, not this year, next year, if you end up getting a spare ticket for New Hampshire, let me know. That checks the final East Coast track off my list, and I can work my way west. So I'm kind of excited about this trip. I'm really excited that once we finish all these tracks, I know we made a friend at Bowman Gray that we're going to try to go visit him and go see Homestead, Miami. So that checks one of my 2 remaining tracks off. Now I just got to hit New Hampshire next year, and we can work our way westward. But I'm getting excited for this trip, but I'm also really looking forward to next season to see, A, the lawsuit will be done, hopefully, and B, silly season kicks off towards the end of next year, so we'll actually have some movement. So that'll be kind of exciting.
So,
But I don't know what else
any
to think.
any final thoughts before we call it a show?
I do have one shout out I got to give for the Tulsa 50. I got to give a shout out to Jeremy Weaver. He lives right down the road from me, and he made his first Tulsa 50 ever. So very excited for him. I think he finished 28th, I think. So not 28th. I think he finished second to last. I had to think about that. Either way, there was issues with other cars, so I know he wasn't dead last, but he made his first show, so I was very happy for him, and his first appearance at Port Royal. So very, very proud of him. Definitely cool to see him race his way in. I think he got the transfer through the heat races. I think he finished third. So very happy for him. So I want to give him a shout out. Congratulations, man. I'm trying to think if there's any other drivers I need to give a shout out to. Uh, Other than Jeremy, that's the only ones I can think of. I'm very excited for Bristol. I've been looking forward to this race for quite some time because I've been to the night race, but my wife has never been to it, so I finally get to experience it with her. And then obviously we get to hit the other tracks. If there's anybody in the Atlanta Motor Speedway or Echo Park, I hate that name. Echo Park, Darlington, Rockingham, or North Wilkesboro area who would like to, meet up, let us know because we're gonna make a round trip out of this. So we're gonna have some fun, and I'll make sure I carry a Sharpie with me to sign autographs if I need to.
And remember, if you're going to be in Fremont for the Jim Ford Classic, come find us in the campground at our camper. We'll be doing live pre-race shows every day, and hopefully we'll get some drivers to do some interviews. I've already talked to a couple, so hopefully they're able to make it. They did say they can't guarantee because you never know what's going to happen if they have to work on their car or whatnot. So hopefully that actually happens with them. Good luck to all of them. And Nathan, enjoy your honeymoon of NASCAR racing. That's honeymoon I never heard of, but um,
We're going absolutely nuts with this trip. I am so excited to go on this trip. Conveniently enough, she wasn't a NASCAR fan to start, and now I can't get her to not watch a race. So
well,
it turned out very nice.
sometimes that's a good thing. But I'll tell you what, man, that's gonna do it for this episode. But remember, we bring you insane motorsports moments, professional breakdowns, and adrenaline-packed edits every single week. Whether you live for those sideways, mudslinging, dirt track sliders, or the rubber squealing, paint trading speed of NASCAR, you belong right here. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a finish. And until next time, keep switching grooves. I'm Russ Fritz,
And I'm Nathan Johns.
and we're saying race hard, stay
Stay safe.
safe, and we'll see you there.
Bye, everybody.